achieve postseason success. And I'm saying, as we're sitting here talking about it, as you were enlightening this audience about what Aaron Gordon brings to the table, I was simply making the point. Maybe you attack him, because if you attack him to some degree, who knows what you'll be able to do as the series wanes. That's all I was trying to say.
Well, guess what? We're going to find out at 8:30 Eastern tonight, and you're going to get a set prior on NBA Countdown. But, gentlemen, now that the stage is set, I want to check in on what Vegas thinks for these NBA Conference Finals as the Celtics take on the Heat and the...
We saw multiple times so far in these playoffs, like LeBron James in the half court having trouble getting by his primary defender. That's a fact. And Aaron Gordon is as good as anyone at guarding LeBron. The Lakers' strength, Stephen A., is getting out in transition. LeBron James' strength, Stephen A., is getting out in transition. To me, it's not about slowing it down. It's about speeding it up and getting easy baskets in transition.
Fair enough, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying, with all due respect, J.J. Redick. What I'm saying to you is that, yeah, that works with everybody else, and I understand what you're talking about. But if Aaron Gordon is such a problem defensively, attacking him and compromising him to some degree may bode well for them as the series went on. It could be, obviously, Tatum and Brown with Williams or what have you. I'm looking at them. Why double anybody? You can man up. I think back to the 80s, J.J. Redick, when Chuck Daly was coaching the Detroit Pistons, and Isaiah Thomas would constantly remind me that Chuck Daly and them was like, guard your man. Guard your man, straight up. We're not trying to double every damn possession. Make sure you stay in front of your man, guard him, fight through them damn screens. Do what you have to do. I'm not saying that's easier to do in this day and age. I'm certainly not trying to imply that at all. But I think that Boston can be elite defensively when called upon to do so, and they have not just one but two weapons they can rely upon.
On the Nuggets, as we were discussing, a rematch of the 2020 bubble playoffs. So Boston enters this series as the odds-on favorite to win it all, with the Nuggets, Lakers, and Heat behind them, respectively. Stephen A., the question is, who should be favored to win it all? Celtics or Nuggets?
I think it should be the Boston Celtics. I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Denver, not trying to take it really fun to watch, and Jokic is something special, no doubt about that. But I believe Jason Tatum is special. I believe the combination of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is special. And I think that Boston is one of the rare teams that, listen, you could put five guys on the court. They don't have to double. Sometimes I'm looking at them, I'm like, why are you doubling? Everybody, every one of them can guard. Atlanta Smart can hit a three. Derek White can hit perimeter shots. Malcolm Brogdon can hit perimeter shots. Al Horford could hit perimeter shots. And then you got the age-old veteran in Al Horford that's guarding Embiid straight up and blocking a couple of shots, for crying out loud. I'm looking at Boston. I'm looking at them in the finals last year, how that experience, I think, would be helpful. I think they're on a mission. And I think right now, as you look at them, although Miami is formidable and they're on their own mission, and Denver's no joke, and the Lakers have LeBron and AD, I think right now, when you're looking at the four teams remaining, it's justifiable to call the Boston Celtics the favorite to win it all.
Hey, Stephen, watching basketball until 1992. If the Pistons were so good guarding their man, why did they need the Jordan rules?
Why did they need the Jordan rules?
Yeah.
Because it's Jordan. That's why. Jordan is a different animal. That's why.
All right. Just wondering.
I don't know why you'd wonder about that one.
We got a lot of basketball to play, and we'll get into, more on this with Nuggets, Lakers, Heat, Celtics. Look at the four teams left. To me, the favorite should be the Denver Nuggets. They've got the best player in the playoffs right now. They get the best player left in the playoffs. They can guard multiple positions. They can knock down threes. Bruce Brown's production off the bench, they put the ball in his hands and let him play pick and roll against bench units. This feels like as complete a team as the Boston Celtics. And I've said all season long, the Celtics have the most complete team. But this feels like it, and when you add in the fact that they have the best player in Jokic and the best two-man complementary action with Jokic and Murray, I think it's ultimately the Nuggets that are the favorites right now.
Well, I'm very proud of you for admitting, because I was going to bring up the fact that you had been saying for months that the Boston Celtics were the most complete team. So I'm glad you reminded.
Where when you need to create good offense, you have actions you can run with your two best players. I can't say that about the Boston Celtics. I brought it up last week on the show. I elaborated further on the podcast on Thursday. It's not a fatal flaw. We can't argue with the success they've had, but at times, especially late game, I have concerns about the Boston Celtics in terms of what sets their running and how the two best players complement each other. I think the Nuggets have their two best players complement each other. And then the third thing, the pieces fit. You know, them bringing in KCP, trade with Washington, Christian Brown through the draft, Bruce Brown with the taxpayer mid-level exception last summer. Those three guys, they just, you don't always remember all your takes. I saw yesterday.
I'm not sure you remember all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you remember all of them. But in all seriousness, JJ, this is not a debate. I want to ask this question. How concerned are you, just your basketball analysis, how concerned are you from what you saw from Denver in games 3 and 4 compared to what you saw from the Celtics in a couple of games they lost to the Philadelphia 76ers? I mean, I know they lost 3, but there's a couple of those games that were alarming, particularly on their home court, games 1 and 5 to be exact. What your concern about what you see from Denver compared to what you
Obviously, every team has concerns. I look at games 3 and 4, particularly with Devin Booker in game 3. I called the game. I called that game. Elite level shot making. Tough shots, right? With Boston, the concerns are the same that they were last year, which is late game decision making, late game execution. I like the way that Joe Mazzulla has really emphasized drive and kick game, hoisting as many threes as possible, which opens up the rim, putting Robert Williams back in the starting lineup, which completely mitigated to some degree the Embiid-Harden pick and roll, and also deterred Embiid and ISO from actually attacking the basket because Robert Williams was literally just camped out playing free safety guard and PJ Tucker. So the concern with Boston, same as last year. Decision-making, late-game execution, all of that. The Denver, Mike, I guess my concern is how much are you going to get night to night within a series from the role player?
Steph Curry-like performance that he put forth in game 4 of the finals that really tipped the scales in there. I think that's what it's going to take to knock off the Boston Celtics. And when I look at the remaining talent, regardless of how great Jokic is, and we know what Jimmy Butler can do, and we know what LeBron James could do, Steph Curry was just so special at that point. I think that looking at this squad, that's what it takes to take out Boston. And I just don't see anybody that will do that to them again. That's where I come in for the finishing touch on the Boston Celtics.
And it's a fair point, Stephen A. And from Michael Porter Jr. How much are you going to get from the bench? That's really my concern in terms of productivity. But in terms of how the pieces fit and how they play basketball, I got to have the Nuggets as the favorite right now.
The reason I asked you that question, JJ, is because looking at Boston, and I appreciate the breakdown because you're right on point. Looking at Boston, they do remind me of what they looked like last year, some of the same highs, some of the same flaws. But I think it takes have been able to do in the open court.
But what did it take for the 76ers to be in that game? An all-time performance from James Harden in both games.
Right.
So it's a fair point, Stephen.